Every level of anti-materiel rifle explained. In this video, we are ranking the biggest rifles on the planet, from worst to the most terrifying ballistic machines. We're judging them by real-world performance, how accurately they hit at extreme distances, how fast they can engage targets, and how effective they are when you need to disable vehicles or extract high-value targets beyond 1.5 miles. Level 1. Serbu RN50. The Serbu RN answers a question nobody should have asked. Can we build a 50 BMG rifle for the cost of a decent gaming PC? Turns out, yes, $1,500 gets you into the big boys club. That's cheaper than most people's monthly rent, and suddenly you're launching projectiles that were engineered to punch through engine blocks. It's the financial equivalent of finding out you can afford a yacht, except the yacht is a single-shot cannon you strap to your shoulder. Here's the deal with the RN50. It's a break-action rifle with a screw cap breech. You heard that right. You literally unscrew the back of the gun, drop in a round, screw it back on, and pray. It's like loading a Civil War cannon, except you're holding it. The whole thing weighs 17 pounds, features a 29.5-inch barrel, and delivers sub-MOA accuracy if, and this is a big if, you don't blow yourself up with sketchy ammunition. Now, you're probably thinking, sub-MOA? That sounds good, and you'd be right, except for one devastating problem. This thing is single shot. One round, that's it. You fire, manually unscrew the breech cap, fish out the spent casing with your fingernails like you're digging for buried treasure, reload, and repeat. By the time you're ready for shot number 2, your target has driven to the next county, grabbed lunch, written a love letter to Sydney Sweeney, gotten rejected, gone through the 5 stages of grief, enrolled in therapy, and is now teaching a TED talk about emotional resilience. And you're still fumbling with that damn breech cap. But here's why it leads to level 1. It's stupidly simple. No gas system to jam. No bolt lugs to wear out, just a barrel, a breech, and the raw containment of 55,000 psi trying to rip your face off. The screw cap design provides 360-degree symmetrical support to the cartridge case, which theoretically makes it more accurate than cheap bolt actions at this price point. Plus, the break action lets you disassemble the whole thing for transport. You can literally fold this rifle up and shove it in a backpack. Here is the disturbing part though. Kentucky Ballistics almost died testing one of these with counterfeit SLAP rounds. The breech cap turned into a supersonic projectile aimed directly at his throat. With proper ammo, it's safe. With garbage ammunition, it's a lawsuit waiting to happen. And that, my friends, is why this thing sits at the bottom. It's accurate, it's affordable, and it's about as tactical as a sledgehammer in a knife fight. If you thought this was the only unhinged 50 cal experiment, think again. The Serbu RN50 is down here with some equally questionable company. The Indian Vidwansak, the Harris Gunworks M96 out of the United States, and the Mambi AMR from Cuba. Different designs, same energy, massive rounds, and minimal practicality. Level 2. Robar RC50. Now things are getting serious. You see, the Serbu was cute, a garage-built monster, but the Robar RC50 is the rifle the FBI puts on helicopters. This is what the Coast Guard uses to stop drug smugglers. This is institutional-grade firepower, and it absolutely humiliates everything in Level 1. The RC50 is built around a scaled-up Remington 700 bolt action, a design so trusted it's been the backbone of American sniping for decades. But Robar didn't just scale it up, they obsessed over it. We're talking custom glass bedding, where the action is molded into a fiberglass stock using epoxy resin to create a stress-free, vibration-killing interface. We're talking NP3 coating, electroless nickel with embedded Teflon, that makes the rifle self-lubricating and corrosion-proof. You could drag this thing through a hurricane, dunk it in salt water, and it'll still shoot 1.5 MOA groups, and that accuracy is the key difference. The Serbu might hit sub-MOA on a good day with perfect ammo and divine intervention. The RC50 does it consistently. The 29-inch chrome moly match-grade barrel, combined with that surgically precise bolt lockup, delivers accuracy that makes Level 1 look like throwing rocks. This rifle can reach out to 2,000 yards and put rounds exactly where you want them, assuming you can carry the thing, because at 25 pounds, it's a workout. But here's the fascinating part. This rifle is hand-built. Each one is custom-tuned by master gunsmiths. The trigger breaks like glass. The stock geometry directs recoil in a straight line, minimizing muzzle rise. It's a Formula One race car in a world of pickup trucks, and that's exactly why it leads Level 2. It takes the bolt-action concept and perfects it with artisan-level craftsmanship. So why is it at Level 2? Well, two reasons. First, it's a bolt action, which means every shot requires you to manually cycle the action. In a tactical scenario, that's a liability. Second, Robar Companies is out of business. These rifles are orphans now. No parts, no support, just expensive paperweights if something breaks. The RC50 shares Level 2 with the Anzio 20mm from the United States, the Zhejiang M99 from China, and the Bushmaster BA50 from the United States. Level 3. OSV 96. The Russians looked at the Barrett M82 and said, "F***, we do it better." The OSV 96, nicknamed the Cracker in Russian service, is a gas-operated semi-automatic monster that solves the single biggest problem with anti-materiel rifles. They're too damn long. Most anti-materiel rifles are absurdly long, nearly 6 feet of steel that won't fit in vehicles, won't clear doorways, and makes you look like you're hauling around a pool cue to a gunfight. The solution? Make it fold in half. The OSV has a hinge built into the receiver. Lock back the bolt, release a catch, and the barrel folds sideways. The deployed length is 69 inches. When folded, 45 inches. You've just transformed a telephone pole into something you can actually transport without hiring a moving truck. But the folding trick isn't the only reason this rifle dominates Level 3. The OSV uses a gas-operated system, which means the barrel stays fixed, unlike the Barrett's recoil-operated sliding barrel. Fixed barrel equals better accuracy. Russian sources claim 1.5 MOA with specialized 7N34 ammunition, which is genuinely impressive for a semi-automatic platform. And with that 39-inch barrel, this thing extracts maximum velocity from the 12.7 by 108mm cartridge, giving you a flatter trajectory and extended range out to 2,300 yards against material targets. Now, let's talk firepower. Semi-automatic operation means you can dump rounds downrange fast. The gas system gives you a sharp push instead of the Barrett's double shuffle recoil impulse, which helps with sight picture recovery. You're not just hitting one target, you're suppressing an entire area. But here's the disturbing truth. That hinge is both the rifle's greatest strength and its Achilles heel. Over time, wear in the hinge introduces play between the barrel and the receiver, where your optic is mounted. That means zero shift. That means you might sight in perfectly at the range, fold it for transport, unfold it in the field, and suddenly you're shooting 6 inches off target. And if you add a suppressor, the back pressure in the gas system can cause point of impact shifts of 2.5 MOA. Devastating performance, devastating problems. Level 3 also includes the Denel NTW20 from South Africa, the AMR2 from China, the Barrett M99 from the United States, and the Zastava M93 Black Arrow from Serbia. Level 4. Barrett M82A1. If you've seen an action movie in the last 30 years, you've seen this rifle. The Barrett M82A1 is the .50 caliber rifle. It's been adopted by 30+ nations. It's been in every major conflict since Desert Storm. It's the rifle that made Ronnie Barrett a legend and turned light .50 into a household term. And here's the interesting part. It's not even that accurate. The M82A1 operates on short recoil, which sounds complicated, but basically means the barrel and bolt are locked together and slide backward during firing. This movement absorbs recoil energy before the action unlocks. Combine that with a massive dual-chamber muzzle brake, and the felt recoil is comparable to a 12-gauge shotgun, despite the cartridge producing 10 times the energy. You can shoot this thing all day without your shoulder falling off. And that semi-automatic capability is a game changer. 10-round magazine, instant follow-up shots. You're not carefully placing one round and hoping for the best. You're hammering targets until they stop existing. Stopping a suicide vehicle, disabling a convoy, detonating unexploded ordnance. The M82A1 does it all, and it does it fast. But here's the brutal truth about the M82A1. It's a 3 MOA rifle. At 1,000 yards, your group size is 30 inches. At 1,500 yards, you're looking at 45 inches of dispersion. This rifle is a blunt instrument. It's designed to hit truck-sized targets, not perform surgical sniper work. The moving barrel inside the receiver, while brilliant for recoil management, means the barrel can't return to the exact same position after every shot. That's an inherent accuracy ceiling you cannot overcome, no matter how good your ammunition is. The M82A1 was designed for explosive ordnance disposal and vehicle interdiction, targets the size of barn doors. It's a blunt instrument that excels at its intended mission, but that precision limitation is exactly what keeps it from advancing higher, where sub-MOA bolt-action accuracy becomes the standard. Level 4 also features the Gepard M1 from Hungary, the KSVK from Russia, the Armalite AR-50 from the United States, and the QBU-10 from China. Level 5. Steyr HS-50. This is where we throw out your semi-auto spray and pray nonsense and ask a simple question. What if we made a bolt-action rifle so accurate, so refined, so obsessively engineered that it could hit a 2-leg-sized target at 1,500 yards? The answer is the Steyr HS-50, and this Austrian masterpiece is the precision standard by which all bolt-action anti-materiel rifles are judged. Here's what makes the Steyr terrifying. Cold hammer forged barrel. Most barrels are cut rifled or button rifled, which involves removing or displacing metal to create the grooves. Cold hammer forging presses rifling into the barrel under hydraulic pressure, which induces surface hardening and creates absurdly consistent bore dimensions. The result is sub-MOA accuracy. At 1,000 yards, a trained shooter can keep rounds inside a 10-inch circle. That's not anti-materiel performance, that's sniper-grade precision, and the design is brilliant. The original HS-50 was single-shot, which was fine for deliberate, calculated shots, but the M1 variant introduced a 5-round magazine that feeds from the left side, not the bottom. Why does this matter? Because a bottom-feeding 50-caliber magazine is huge and forces the rifle to sit high off the ground, increasing your profile. The side-mounted magazine keeps the rifle low, improves camouflage, and lets you reload without breaking your cheek weld. You stay in position, you stay on target. The Steyr also features adjustable everything: cheek piece, monopod, length of pull. Combined with an excellent muzzle brake and 30 pounds of mass, the recoil is manageable. Shooters describe it as comparable to a heavy tactical 12-gauge. You can shoot this rifle all day without your shoulder turning into hamburger. And the takedown capability? 2 screws, and the barrel separates from the stock for transport. Reassemble it and it holds 0. That's engineering precision. But here's why it stops at level 5. Bolt action speed. You're manually cycling that bolt for every shot. The throw is long, the movement disrupts your sight picture, and follow-up shots are slow. In a tactical scenario where seconds matter, you're at a disadvantage compared to semi-autos. Level 5 is joined by the Barrett M107A1 from the United States, the Accuracy International AW50 from the United Kingdom, the RPA Rangemaster 50 from the United Kingdom, and the DSR Precision from Germany. Level 6. Accuracy. International AX50 ELR. This is a mission-adaptable platform designed for extreme long-range warfare. And here's the fascinating part. You can change its entire personality in under a minute. The quick-lock barrel system is what separates the AX50 ELR from every rifle below it. Loosen one hex screw, remove the barrel, swap in a different caliber, and you're done. You can go from 50 BMG to 408 CheyTac to 375 CheyTac without changing the chassis or optics mount. Why does this matter? Because you can train with cheap 50 BMG ammunition, then deploy with high-performance, extreme-range cartridges. You're not locked into one ballistic profile, you adapt to the mission. And that chassis is bonded aluminium and steel construction that eliminates the need for glass bedding. The action is permanently bonded to the chassis, creating an indestructible interface that's impervious to weather and degradation. The bolt features a 60-degree throw throw, faster than traditional 90-degree actions, and provides clearance for large optic objectives. The full-length 45 MOA rail lets you mount day scopes, thermal clip-ons, and laser rangefinders in line without point-of-impact shift. This rifle integrates with the entire modern optics ecosystem. But here's where it gets interesting. The AX50 ELR maintains Accuracy International's legendary durability standards, NATO drop tests, ice and mud torture tests. This rifle survives environments that would kill a Germany tank, and it still delivers sub-MOA accuracy. The two-stage trigger is considered the gold standard for combat precision. 1.5 to 2 kilograms of pull, consistent across temperature extremes and rough handling. So why doesn't it lead to level 7? Because it's still built around existing cartridges. The 50 BMG, the 408 CheyTac, these are adopted technologies, not purpose-built systems. And weight is a factor. At 26.5 pounds naked, this rifle approaches 35 pounds once you add a scope, bipod, and magazine. You're not running and gunning. You're setting up a precision firing position and staying there. Level 6 has some of the best anti-materiel rifles in the industry. Accuracy International AS50 from the United Kingdom, the Barrett XM500 from the United States, the PGM Hecate 2 from France, and the Desert Tech HTI from the United States. Level 7 CheyTac M200 Intervention. I like to call this rifle the Grim Reaper. This is an integrated weapons systems with a PhD in applied mathematics. Every rifle we've discussed so far accepts existing military cartridges as constraints. The CheyTac M200 Intervention does the opposite. It builds the entire system around a cartridge designed from the ground up for one purpose: hitting targets beyond 2,500 yards with surgical precision. We will get to that later. The M200 Intervention was designed as the long-range rifle system. Not just a rifle, but an integrated package including the weapon, proprietary ammunition, an advanced ballistic computer, and environmental sensors. You input range, wind, temperature, and barometric pressure, and the system calculates a firing solution that accounts for every variable. This is the gun equivalent of buying a Formula One car that comes with its own pit crew and weather station. The M200 is built on the EDM Arms Windrunner platform, featuring a rotating bolt that locks directly into the barrel extension. But here's where it gets interesting. The entire barrel assembly can be removed for transport. You're not dragging around a 6-foot pole. You break this thing down, pack it up, and reassemble it in the field. And that free-floating 29-inch barrel, it's engineered to tolerances so tight you'd think Swiss watchmakers designed it, and the results speak for themselves. The M200 has been used to establish multiple extreme range world records. Shooters have confirmed sub-MOA accuracy at distances where 50 BMG rifles are throwing prayers downrange. At 2,000 yards, this rifle makes shots that are mathematically improbable with conventional cartridges. The magazine holds 7 rounds, or optionally 5, and the whole system is built around one obsessive goal: hitting targets at distances where other rifles are basically lobbing Hail Marys. We're talking 2,300 yards, and beyond that is about 2,500 meters. The integrated ballistic computer does the thinking for you. Punch in range, wind, temperature, barometric pressure, and it calculates a firing solution, accounting for variables you didn't even know existed. You're not a marksman anymore. You're a ballistic technician operating a precision instrument. And here's what is shocking. The 408 CheyTac cartridge is ballistically superior to 50 BMG in every metric that matters at extreme range. The 419-grain solid copper projectiles feature balanced flight geometry. The center of pressure and center of gravity are aligned to minimize precession. The ballistic coefficient is obscene. A standard 50 BMG drops to subsonic speeds around 15 to 1,800 yards, destabilizing and losing predictability. The 408 CheyTac stays supersonic past at 2,300 yards. And wind drift? At 2,000 yards, the 408 experiences 30 to 50% less drift than 50 BMG. That's not incremental improvement, that's categorical dominance. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. The 408 CheyTac is a solid penetrator. It'll punch through armor like a hot knife through butter, but it lacks the internal volume for high explosive incendiary payloads. The 408 just makes really clean holes. It's a surgical instrument for eliminating high-value targets at absurd distances, not a general-purpose mayhem machine. And the ammunition is expensive and rare. You're not training with this, you're deploying with it for one specific mission. Level 7 is stacked with beasts like the Macmillan TAC-50 from the United States, the Snipex Alligator from Ukraine, and the Lobayev DXL-5 Havoc from Russia,